The Double has been a fantastic journey so far. This is probably one of the most addictive C-dramas I've watched in recent memory. I completely abandoned The Long Ballad, another costume historical fantasy C-drama that I was watching, and I really enjoyed that one too. But The Double has completely enthralled me, and I have to talk about the chemistry. Hi, I'm Monique. I am the host of Off by Purple Heart podcast, where I talk to you about K-dramas, C-dramas, BTS, and whatever else I want to talk about. The Double has really a great premise. I love the idea of revenge stories in general. A lot of my favorite dramas in general are around revenge. I gotta tell you, from the K-drama side of things, The Glory was phenomenal for this, and it still remains like one of my favorite K-dramas ever in recent memory. And in the C-drama side of things, I think this drama is going to be right up there too. I'm just over the halfway point, so I'm at episode 26 at the time of me recording this. A lot has happened since my first impressions of The Double. It's so much more than a revenge story. I love our female lead a lot. I love that she is brilliant, and I love that the show tells you right off the bat that she was a very accomplished woman, and she was one of the most talented women that was in her town, and that her husband really fumbled the bag. I mean, the biggest fumbling of the bag I have ever seen, because his wife was very brilliant. And in the first episode, we had this really Alfred Hitchcocky, really gothic horror-like episode, and we just see her wake up from this surreal dream into this waking nightmare, and her husband essentially orchestrating her death. And then she is miraculously saved by this young woman, Jiang Li, and she ends up sacrificing her life and by saving her, and her revenge plot revolving around absolving everything that the two of them have went through, and not only just clearing her name and enacting revenge on her husband, but also helping Jiang Li be recognized by her family, and for her name to be cleared, and for her death to not be in vain. And the show delves into something so much more. It's not lost on me that the vast majority of the female characters that we meet in this show have one way or another have been completely screwed over by men. And I love that the show is doing an overarching commentary about just how oppressive forces work, and just how everyone that are the oppressed are basically whittled down into nothing, and oftentimes people do not get this form of justice. So having this female lead character, Fang Fi, but she's going by the alias of Jiang Li right now because she is enacting this revenge. I love that she is very, very smart, and she knows how to play the political machinations to her betterment. She is like 3 steps ahead of everyone, and no matter how dicey the situation is, she finds a way to outsmart her opponents. And it's very, very satisfying to watch, especially because she's such an accomplished woman, and she could have had so much more for her life. But, and this is where the commentary of the show is really intriguing to me, because of the love of a man, her husband at the time. She basically abandoned a lot of what she could do so she could help support her husband and his career, and basically build him up. And how does he repay her for this? He cheats on her with this deranged woman who is a princess that we find out in the first episode, and we definitely delve into her character a lot more as the show progresses. Not only did he cheat on his wife multiple times, he orchestrated her death and basically left her for dead. That's the thanks that she gets for dedicating her entire life to him, with her intelligence, her wit, her beauty, her charisma, her everything, all her resources. She essentially gave that up to help and support and prop up her husband, and he ends up screwing her over. And we see real life examples of this every goddamn day under the patriarchy. And we see it in a lot of TV shows. We see it in films. We see it in real life. God, like you just go on TikTok and you'll get like a whole host of crap on your feed. So even with this fantastical series that has a lot of having to suspend your belief, I'm not going to pretend like this show isn't crazy sometimes. It does have a lot of unrealistic scenarios, but I don't think the show was ever aiming to necessarily be a true to tale story. I just enjoy the story that they're telling. And not only is it a great thriller to watch, and not only is it beautiful to watch, I mean, there are some questionable CGI moments. There's one episode in particular that was really off the wall, but for the most part, the cinematography of the show is really gorgeous and lush. The colors that they use are very beautiful, and especially the female lead, I love how they costume her in particular, and they use her unique face and everything built around that, even the jewelry. And there's so many moments where I'm just completely awestruck and just how beautiful the show looks. I really love the soundtrack the show uses. The scoring for a lot of scenes are really poignant. And I'm enjoying the hell out of it. But the one thing that truly that makes me really happy to watch the show, outside of the commentary about how brilliant this female lead is, and how much she's able to strategize her way out of the worst case scenarios, and the overall arching commentary about how women just get shit done in this show, and so many women, their downfall, even the most evil, the most manipulative, the most antagonistic of characters, even the deranged princess that I was talking about earlier, even she was screwed over one way or another by a man. The best part though, speaking of men, is Duke Soo. Duke Soo and Ali's relationship, their romance, is everything to me. I love that there's so much parallels between the two characters. I love, despite how incredulous a lot of the scenes are in general, a lot of the fights, I guess, don't really make any sense according to any logic in reality that deals with, like, you know, gravity or anything like that. Like physics just doesn't really work with the show, but it doesn't matter. Duke Soo and Ali's chemistry is absolutely fire, and I love that we're dealing with two adult characters. I am fully aware that the actor that plays Duke Soo is very young, in his very early 20s, and I'm sure the actress is older, but they both thematically look amazing together. They're both adult characters, and I really like that the female lead isn't like a shrieking violet, like, you know, not even just in C-dramas, but even K-dramas. Like, a lot of the female leads, they're very demure, and they get very shocked very easily if there's even like a flash or even slither of skin from the male lead. If there's any sexuality or even any flirtation, it's very like shy and coyish. Whereas this female lead, she's an adult, she's been married, she's been heavily screwed over by her husband. So the way she and her interactions with Duke Soo play out a lot, she fully flirts back. She doesn't have that shyness to her. She has a lot of courage. And even in their more playful banter-like moments, it's just really refreshing to watch. They have phenomenal chemistry. They haven't even kissed yet. And it's just absolute fire. The way they touch each other, the physicality they have around one another, the flirting. I love that their flirting is sometimes almost too much to the point that it's uncomfortable, that other characters that are in the background are like physically cringing. There was this like amazing moment, and I think it was like in episode 20 or 21, and Duke Soo happened to buy her some roses from this little girl that was a vendor, and she was watching the interactions between Duke Soo and Ali, and even she was kind of like, oh God, can you all get a room? God damn, like, I'm a child, like, ma'am, this is Wendy's, can you get out of here? And it's so funny to me that they do not give one rat's ass like how like obvious that their flirting is, and they find so many unique ways to tell each other that they care for one another deeply without actually saying it through the actions. And I love that Duke Soo is probably one of the main male characters that actually has like a moral compass and a sense of integrity. There's a couple of others too, but he is like the standout character. He is actually brave. He's actually courageous. He's extremely strong, not only just physically, but mentally as well. I mean, his fight style is very interesting. He has this very flamboyant, dramatic flair to him. But I love that he has so much confidence in this female lead. He is there. He saves her ass multiple times in the episode that I've watched already. But he also is fully impressed with her, and she's able to get herself out of many sticky situations as well, just using the power of her wit. But I love that he kind of just sits back and he just admires her and sees how she's able to move as like a game of chess. She has her own ways of getting through tougher opponents, and while people continue to think that she's like a pawn that can be discarded, she still is able to outwit and outlast in many circumstances. As crazy as the whole setup is, as that she's impersonating someone else that has died. And I love how with the show progressing, we get to see just that her mission isn't just about clearing her name, clearing Jiang Li's name, but also about righting the wrongs of the many evils that men have inflicted in the show. And that Duke Su is just along for the ride, and he is just part of the journey and helping this be an easier process for her while they continue to banter and flirt in so many hot ways. And I just love that one scene that they were dancing in the rain and he was just looking at her in awe and she was completely joyous and free. Like, I just love how adult their relationship is. I love the flirting. I love that, you know, he'll pout if he, you know, calls her to, you know, meet up with him for tea and she doesn't necessarily do so or in a timely manner, or if she has a favor she has to ask him and he's like, don't you ever just want to visit me just to see me? And she'll teasingly look at him and say, you know, you're so handsome when you're angry. It's just so cute and adorable, boop, kind of thing. And I love their playful interactions, and I just love the entire backdrop of the show in general. I'm just having such a great ride with this show. I am so thankful to the person who recommended it to me, and I got to watch it in the midst of the hype of it. It literally just finished. So there's still a lot of people talking about it, and it's great fun. It's great fun. It's not realistic at all, but it's a great journey, and I love the overall commentary that the show is delving into, and I enjoy the female lead a lot. I just am tired of Jiang Li's family. I'm 26 episodes in, so things obviously are going to go sideways. Things are going to get, I'm assuming, a lot worse for our female lead, but I'm just so tired of the family dynamics. I just want her out of that viper's den. It's just weary, and she has to exhaust so much mental energy and having to get through all the machinations that go on in that household. And I know why she has to stay there and what her overall objective is, but it's just so tiring. I want her to go on to go head to head, toe to toe with the big bads of the show, like the very delusional princess that she's still dealing with. And I want her to pay back her husband. I mean, her husband, I don't think the show necessarily wants to do a redemption arc for him, but since the first episode, they've been steadily building the case that he has not a lot of power in what has been happened, and he was kind of put in a rock and hard place. But selling out your wife and killing her, or attempting to kill her by burying her alive, to me is an offense that cannot be forgiven. Even if he's helping her out now in little ways, and the show has gone on to show some flashbacks of him being remorseful, but the show can also like do a 180 and he could have his own revenge arc and decides he wants to take his former wife down along with the princess. I hope the hell they don't do that, because yeah, I just want her to take him down anyways. Like, I want to see her throw him into a goddamn ditch and throw some dirt on him and see him claw his way back out. And if he doesn't and he just ends up dying, oh well, you know? But I am having so much fun with this show. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you watched The Double? What did you think of it? Please, no spoilers. I spoiled the hell out of for people that might have just accidentally stumbled upon this video. But I do usually put in my description if I'm including spoilers in my podcast. But yeah, no more spoilers. But yeah, just tell me in general, do you dig the show? Like, you like it? What do you think of Duke-soo and Ali's chemistry and relationship? I'm loving it. I'm loving the pace of it. And I love a good slow burn. And I love a good adult slow burn like this. I just love their pace. I think it's perfectly paced to romance right now. And there's just so much other stuff going on that, yeah, I don't need them to rush the romance into full bloom. You know, they're making out, whatever. I just hope that when we get to that point that the kissing pays off, the romance actually pays off. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, their chemistry, fire right now. If you're watching via YouTube, thank you so much. Again, put your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts. If you're listening via Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I love you. I appreciate you so much for listening. And until the next one, bye.